Привет! Fanfiction. Let's go. One Big Human Heart Gently Beeping by Grasstastic. 54.5 thousand words. Tags. Picture this. You apply for a job at an arcade and you actually get accepted. What should have been a fun time working and playing quickly gets turned into a mystery with a horrifying twist once Wilbur meets a game character called Stick Boy. And turns out, he isn't the only sentient game. Now with the help of Phil and Techno, they try and figure out who really is Stick Boy and what happened to him. Aside from being written very well, the thing that captivated my attention was the whole game aspect. I'm a sucker for stories that are about games that are in some way alive, so it instantly became a story that I couldn't put down. But when I found out the reason for the game characters being alive, it became my second favorite fanfiction of all time. 10 out of 10 stars. This next fic is tagged as Dead Dove Do Not Eat, and while I personally didn't think it was that bad, if such stories make you uncomfortable, please skip ahead to this time. In case you do not know what that tag is, I'll quickly explain. Dead Dove Do Not Eat is a warning tag. It's an author's way of saying, hey, there's some heavy stuff in here that could rub you the wrong way. We're not endorsing it, just giving you a heads up. Basically, it means that the tags are no joke and should be taken seriously. If it says gore, it will be very graphic gore and so on. Now that we got that out of the way. Mystery Meat by Returns Null, 143.8 thousand words. Tags, read them carefully. I'll give you some time. What could be the worst thing that happens if you decide to skip class? Your parents scold you, your grades drop, you get detention. Normally that would be the case, but not for Tommy. Good old Tommy gets to witness his parents get killed and he gets kidnapped by a cannibal. You heard me, a cannibal. The man that kidnapped him, whose name he finds out is Technoblade, decides that throwing away bodies of his victims is a waste, so he starts munching on them. Tommy, of course, isn't aware of this and compliments his cooking. Tommy is kidnapped, yes, but good thing Techno is strictly against killing kids, so as long as he behaves, he'll be just fine. When I started reading this fic, I made the mistake of not reading the tags, and once I found that it's tagged Dead Dove Do Not Eat, I was actually really worried about reading it. But as I said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I can't wait to see what happens with Tommy, Techno, and the rest of SBI. I give it 9 out of 10 stars. You Look Terrible, You're Coming Home With Me by Lost and Found Hobie. 15.4 thousand words. Tags. Tommy's a 16-year-old kid that ran away from an abusive home and is pretending to be 18. Typical. He lives in a crappy apartment with no heating and works as a barista. One day at work he meets a creep named Wilbur that keeps showing up at his work trying to get to know him even after Tommy repeatedly told him to screw off. Tommy soon meets the rest of Will's family and quickly understands that he traded one abusive household for another. They do not care about his well-being and feelings, they actively play on his fears. I read this fic a really long time, the first dark SBI fic I ever read, and I remember dropping it multiple times because I couldn't move past some of the things they did. Great fic, 7.5 stars out of 10. Ours Poetica by Zskate. 77.5 thousand words. Tags. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, but it's simply too good not to mention. Once the twins, Techno and Will, left for college, Tommy was left at home with his father. They don't exactly have the best relationship, they barely talk, and when they do, it's either cold or related to the twins. So to deal with all the emotions he's feeling, Tommy takes his teacher advice and turns to poetry. He writes down everything he feels and then performs it at small gigs with his friends. Tommy got used to the way things were. Sure, the house felt empty despite his friends' constant visits, but at least it was familiar. That all came crashing down when the twins returned home. Will, in particular, is hellbent on fixing things between Tommy and the rest of the family, even if he does more damage than good. Neglected Tommy, good guy Dream, found family and friends, teacher Sam, it checks off all the boxes to be a good story. And because this is a good story, there's plenty of content about on the internet, so you have something to keep your attention while waiting for the next chapter. 9 out of 10 stars. Will infuriates me, but Techno's chill. Transceiver by Rabble Dabble Writes. 47.7 thousand words. Tags. One day, Tommy digs a hole in the dirt and finds an old device he doesn't recognize. The little box is labeled as radio, and Tommy is infatuated with it because it plays nice songs he likes. One day, instead of the usual music playing, he hears a voice. Not just someone talking into the void. No, a voice speaking directly to him. Ever since that day, Tommy talks to Wilbur every day, making him feel just a little bit less lonely. I can't divulge too much about the storyline to avoid spoilers, so just know that it is amazing and expect the unexpected. An incredible story that's well worth the read, 8 out of 10 stars. The Case of the Fire Inside, by trying to spell both our names at once. 198.7 thousand words. Tags. You've heard about Cat Shifter Tommy, and you've heard about Raccoon Shifter Tommy. I present to you Seal Tommy. Tommy is a mythical creature called Selkie that can switch forms between a seal and a human. He can often be found playing in the water by the lighthouse near his home. Phil, Techno, and Will don't have the best relationship. I'd go as far as saying they have a terrible relationship. So to fix that, Phil signs up his little broken family to work at the lighthouse for a couple of months. There they meet an adorable little seal that was awfully calm around humans and all got attached to him. If anything was going to happen to their Theseus, they would hunt down whoever hurt him. But that won't happen, right? Before this, I didn't know of the existence of Selkies, so this seemed like a very interesting, unique fic. It was nice to read how taking care of Tommy improved their relationship, but it was heartbreaking to learn about what Tommy was experiencing when at home. 9 out of 10 stars. So we just talked about Seal Tommy. So now I'd like to talk about Kangaroo Tommy and Wilbur. Hop, Skip and Jump by Fractal Fiction. 7.7 thousand words. Tags. Tommy is a kangaroo hybrid orphan who is looking for a permanent home. Unfortunately, these very instincts that should provide him comfort make him come across as overly clingy to others, labeling him as too much. So he tries to be less clingy, walk like a human instead of hopping, and so on. Now he's adopted by kangaroo Wilbur, who shares the same instincts and can't understand why his little one resists embracing those instincts. I now know that baby kangaroos are called Joeys. Dadber, Orphan Tommy, hybrids and found family. All great things. Short and sweet read, 8 out of 10. Dracuncles vulgaris. I have no idea. By Fractal Fiction. 4.6 thousand words. Tags. Okay, so we all know the things that vampires usually like. Dark colors, gothic architecture, bats, and other things like that. Well, in this fic, vampires really like flowers. To the point where some flower shops get a special vampire license. Wilbur, Phil, and Techno move into a mansion in a small town, and one of the first things Will does is go to a flower shop to buy some flowers. There he meets a young boy by the name of Tommy that sells him 3 bouquets. Since then, Will starts spending more and more time in the flower shop. Also, vampires purr like cats. And no more accidental turning humans into vampires. 8 out of 10 stars. I read like 6 fanfics from this author, and they have been all great. Highly recommend it if you like Dadber and the regular SBI family dynamic. Will and Lula's Cross-Dimensional Cappers by Hatram. 42,000 words. Tags. So we have all heard of those Tommy goes to a different dimension types of fics, right? Well, this is pretty much that, except it's Wilbur and his daughter Tallulah. Cassidy, Island Will, and Tallulah get thrown into DSMP during the Poetopia time, and with the help of Tommy and Techno have to survive and try to find a way back home. The confusion of seeing someone so familiar and different. The joy Tommy feels because he now has another kid to play with. The way Techno takes care of everyone, it's amazing. Though I must say, there were a couple of times I had to stop reading to just rant in my head about how much of an idiot Q Wilbur is, and maybe he should just shut up and listen to the people that are actually from the world he's in. 9 out of 10 stars. There's also a story that is DSMP Wilbur's perspective, and it's pretty good. Honorary Mention. Technoblade's entirely average babysitting gig by Ophelia Blue. 34,000 words. Tags. Techno babysits monster children that try to kill him. And he's cool with that, cause $200 is $200. 9 out of 10 stars. And because it's such a good story, there's plenty of content about it on the internet, so you have something to keep your mind. Why? Why do I write such long sentences that I can't read? Because it's such a good story, there's plenty of content about it on the internet, so you have something to keep your attention while watching. Tommy is a mythical creature called a Selkie. I just choked on air. Delightful.